The uncomfortable truth is that if you won't protect your personal life, your work eventually will hijack all of your time, energy, and even your brain power. And at the end of the day, you would end up thinking or doing the actual work 24/7. And believe me, I'm talking from the experience, and I definitely don't want to have that experience repeated again in my life. So that's why in this video, I actually want to share with you 6 habits I have in my daily routine in order to make sure I feel alive after my 9 to 5. And let me be brutally honest with you straight away, because the first thing that I'm very cautious about is about my relationship at my workplace and my relationship outside of the workplace. And in ideal world, I try to keep them separated, do not mix them up together. Because eventually, if the friends from my workplace, the beautiful colleagues that I have, with whom I have really nice, friendly relationship, would become my friends in the real life, at that point, I start keeping up all my work dramas into the life that I have outside of my working hours. It means that all the gossips, all the topics, all the constant changes and the opinions that we always have to say about the corporate situation would eventually be the part of my life. And that's something that I don't really want to have. But of course, there are a few exceptions. I have few friends with whom I have a good connections outside of my work, but the main idea is, and I'm trying my best, to keep my personal drama in my personal life and my work drama in my workplace. And when I physically disconnected from my laptop, from my desk, from my colleagues, I want to fill in my life with different stories, but not be occupied about the same stuff happening all over again 24/7 in my life. So I hope you got my message, and tell me more. What do you think about that? Because that's the part that gives the biggest difference, but the part that's hardest to keep. But another very important habit that I have almost every work day, I have a luxury of walking home, and I try to do my best whenever I have comfortable shoes and the weather is not horrible, because I live in Berlin. Sometimes it's really not the best way to spend 30-40 minutes of your life to walk under the heavy rain or heavy wind, but most of the time I can afford myself to have a nice walk, at least 30 to 40 minutes. And to be honest, this trick actually helps me the most to stay alive after my 9 to 5, because right now it's a little bit more than 7 p.m. and you see I'm fully energized to sit down and to record my video for the blog. But that proves the concept that actually by giving myself the time to disconnect from the screen, to disconnect from the traffic, from the stress of other people, I have an amazing walk, I have an energy, I have the time to think about some creative projects, like thinking about this video today on my way home, observe other people, observe some traffic, but not being part of that, but rather being an observer. And I think it's the brilliant opportunity to enjoy some time and to give yourself time to wrap up the thoughts from the work and actually change the gears to your personal life. That's why I definitely would recommend you to either have at least 15 to 20 minutes walk in between your meetings. If you're working from home, definitely once you have the laptop closed, just go outside and have at least the round of your block, or do some grocery shopping in order to make your body move, to disconnect from all the digital devices and to let your thoughts float. Even if you think it's the waste of the time, you would see eventually how it positively impacts your mental state. And if you have a beauty of having the nice nature around you, please prioritize that, and definitely you would feel alive after your work ends and you feel energized for another chapter of your life, like working on your creative hobbies or just simply spending more quality time with your beloved one. But another thing that also helps me to actually feel the difference between my work life and my personal life is giving myself some small tasks after work. For example, this week and last week I've been ordering some of the new shoes for myself from one of the online shops, and that's why this week I received already many packages, and some of them need to go back to the store because I ordered few of the sizes, few of the models in order to select the one that I really like. And it means that I'm assigning myself a task after work, at least to pick up the package for another evening, for example, to try on all the stuff that I ordered. The evening after, I should at least send back at least one package, or doing something like small but something meaningful that I can tick the box and actually feel a sense of accomplishment, not only when I'm checking in some of the tasks that are given at work, but also something that I'm doing for myself, and I'm feeling that I'm in control of the things that happen in my life, and I'm not overwhelmed as for many of us it happens quite often when you sit down on your couch and you feel like the whole evening flew by quickly without even recognizing how much hours you spend either watching Netflix or social media. For me, as the person who's working 5 days a week from the office most of the time, it's definitely giving me some time, some energy back, because on Saturdays I don't have to spend the whole day doing the house chores, but rather half of the day and I'm done, and I can spend some time seeing my friends and doing some other stuff that I genuinely love, like working on my blog, reading books, or doing some other interesting and creative work. And moving on to another great hack that I love, of course, it's having some high-level overview of the next few weekends. And yes, I'm pretty sure it comes with the German passport that you start planning few weeks or few months ahead of time to see your friends. But that actually helps me to always be sure that I have some interesting plan for the weekend. For example, this weekend I'm going with friends, with the group of friends, to the premiere of the ballet, and I really like it. This idea of having the possibility to book it in advance. I think we booked the tickets in the late autumn, and right now is early spring, and now it's the time to go and spend some time with my friends. But we booked that, we bought the tickets, we saved that in our calendars, and now it's time for me to enjoy these beautiful plans that we have done a few months ago. But the same way, I also try to reach out to my friends on regular basis and to set up some time for coffee chat, for brunches, for going for sport together and having some coffee time together afterwards, or simply going to some art museum or doing some walks around the neighborhood, for example. I really like to have that discussed, planned as the placeholder in our calendars, because by doing this I make sure that I keep seeing my friends regularly, I keep being the good friend for them, and that my life has something more than just having another weekend where I have no plans and I have a high likelihood stalking social media, because I'm a human, I cannot resist also this quick dopamine. So that's why I try to protect myself by having the plans in advance and just following the plan, because I really like that in my friends, that whenever we agree on something, we very rarely cancel our plans. Most of the time it happens, and I appreciate those moments together with my friends. And we are moving on to the fifth one, that it also comes to the planning and another way of planning. I try to plan at least a high-level overview what I'm gonna cook for myself after work throughout the work week, and that helps to decrease the mental capacity that I need to process after all the work tasks are done. So usually on my way home, when I'm walking most of the time, I have a chance to think exactly what I'm gonna cook today. But what I do, I usually go to the supermarket on Saturday, and I have more or less understanding of what I'm gonna cook for myself to bring to the office, because I try to cook as much as I can, because I can cook. But I know how to make my food more nutritious, and it simply means that Saturday I need to make sure that I have all the ingredients. But that's the beauty of habit. If you integrate any of the habits on the regular basis, it just piles up all the experience. And right now I never end up with having no ingredients for my food options that I planned ahead. And in the worst case scenario, if that happens, I can always order something or just go quickly and grab some bites in my neighborhood on my way back home, for example. And before I wrap up, let me talk briefly about the sixth point that I wanted to include into this list. It's about traveling or taking a meaningful break regularly. And this year I try out to have every second month a week of the vacation. I work in Germany, and if you work in Germany, you have most likely the same conditions as I do. We have 30 days paid leave available for every employees in our company. So it means that every 2 months I can technically take the full 5 days week off and be able to disconnect. And you know what? This year I actually start taking some days off just without traveling plans. For example, earlier this year in February, I took 5 days in order to make myself available to visit Berlinale. That's the film festival in Berlin. And I really like how I can stay in the city, live my life where I know everything and still enjoy the beauty of not going to the office and also not spending a ton of time on traveling, like if I would choose to go to another city, but still enjoy and get some new experience, even though I'm not leaving my apartment. And as you see on my back, there is the beautiful cat that makes all my stay home time even more enjoyable. And this year, I really like the whole idea of staycation. So that's why I'm gonna try some more times to actually take some time off from work, but staying at home, and maybe doing some small trips to the neighborhoods, to some smaller cities near Berlin. And regardless which approach you use for taking the meaningful breaks, either you prefer to just stay in your apartment or spend some time with your friends and family, or booking some time for your velo trip, or maybe traveling far, whatever you choose, make sure you always have the time to disconnect and change the life perspective. Because if you like to travel, you can see this interesting effect that traveling makes on us. It feels that whenever you are experiencing something for the first time, time feels slower. And that's the beauty of the disconnecting from your regular life and changing the gears, changing the perspective, the lenses in your glasses, and seeing the world through the different perspectives. I wish you do, and I do this pretty often and regular, to have some time for ourselves, to enrich our experience, to enrich cultural capital, and to stay energized for whatever comes at our workplace and whatever comes in our personal life. I hope those habits would help you to stay in your work-life balance and keep yourself alive after your 9 to 5 is over. I hope this video was helpful for you. Definitely let me know what do you think about those habits, and let's see each other in other videos that are already available on my channel. Take care and see you very soon. Bye bye.